Hey guys, Victoria here, and welcome to the Geeky Sandbox. And this is our initial geeky thoughts. And today, up on the roster is going to be The Boogeyman. The Boogeyman is a 2023 horror movie that is inspired by the short story by Stephen King. And I haven't read the short story by Stephen King. It's something that I have on my list. But yeah, so I went into this movie without that knowledge, so I have nothing to really compare to. For those of you that are wondering what the description of the movie is, it's pretty much about the boogeyman. You guys know the story from when you were kids. You have your parents check your closet, or if you have a closet that's kind of cracked open, you're scared something's peeking outside of it, or checking for monsters under your bed, that boogeyman. This movie follows a high school student and her younger sister who just experienced a death in the family, their mother, and they're not getting a ton of support from their dad. He's kind of still grieving as well. And while all this is going on, there's a desperate patient that shows up to their dad's door. He's a therapist, and he tells him, hey, there's this shadowy figure trying to kill me and my kids. And pretty much he's saying that this boogeyman, this shadow figure, this supernatural entity, preys on families that are grieving or really going through some sort of trauma and just feeds on that suffering. So that's kind of the movie here. I went to do a super duper late night viewing, and yeah, guys, here are my 5 things. 1, I really like the moments that they did utilize a lot of darkness in some scenes. I know here lately I've been like, oh my god, don't make it too dark. Like, use a little light. Let's see the actors' faces. But this is one of those movies where it really benefited from having those darker scenes, because you're not quite sure exactly what you're seeing in the corner or what you see behind someone's back or over someone's shoulder. And I think that utilizing that was great. 2, which is a kind of a double-edged sword, they did not use it enough. I really think keeping this creature, this creepy childhood entity, a hidden secret for a good portion of the movie, I think they could have benefited from that. It would have added more scares, more mystery, and made you feel a little bit more tense. 3, I thought the performances were pretty good for what they were. There wasn't anything super spectacular, but I loved seeing Chris Messina in the role of that dad in this movie. It was perfect seeing him in that. And obviously, we know Sophie Thatcher from Yellow Jackets, and just being able to see her in this role was great too. I kept looking at her and trying to figure out where I knew her from, because she has dark, short hair in this movie. And I was like, who is this? And I was like, young Natalie. 4, I think the movie could have used maybe a bit more variety, possibly. I'm trying to find the best way to describe this. At some point, the movie kind of became one note, which I was a little disappointed by that, considering that you guys will hear me and Kenneth talk about them soon. Scott Beck and Brian Woods, they were involved with a lot of things. We talked about A Quiet Place, we talked about Haunt, and we did talk about this movie that's coming out. And you still get a lot of those same similar tones that they do like to navigate, and which is be quiet, hide from this entity. And I think that was executed well. But I think some of the direction of the film, some of that felt kind of one note. I'm trying to find the best way to describe that, but that's kind of the way, I guess the best way. There were moments where the movie did feel spooky, and like I said, some of those moments where it was dark and you weren't quite sure what was going to happen, especially knowing that the boogeyman goes after children. You're like, okay, these kids are in trouble. But there was just a lot of like the same notes for a while. And there were a few peaks. We've talked about our director before, or maybe we haven't talked about him on this channel before, but Rob Savage, he did a movie that I did enjoy, The Host, or Host. I better say Host instead of The Host, because they're very different films. And that was really well done at the time. I do recommend you watch it if you have not seen it before. I think I recommended it the last time I talked about it. It is a Zoom-based horror film. 5, there were some genuine scary moments with this childhood monster. I think, like I said, everyone can relate to your closet door not quite being closed, at least for me, because when I was young, I was afraid of the dark. So like they really did play upon that fear very well, with a closet cracked open in a dark room, and then you may see some eyes like coming out of the closet, or like some kind of glowy pair of eyes there. If you were a kid that was ever afraid of the dark, you can relate to it. I know I slept with the covers over my head. Did I have a good time? I still had a good time going to go see it. Would I give it an extreme high rating? Probably not, just because it fell a little short of expectations. But I did not leave the movie upset or feeling like I wasted any amount of time, if that makes any sense. But yeah, guys, that's all I have for this one. I'm going to go ahead and get this edited and up for you guys so that way you can decide for yourselves if you want to see it this weekend and the next couple of weeks while it is out in theaters. But yes, if you like this video, go ahead and find another video on the channel that you like. There are plenty of horror-based reviews. I think we talked about the Pope's Exorcist. That's there for you guys. We talk a lot about Scream. We talked a lot about some more kind of like abstract horror and things like that. But take a look around and see if you find anything else you like. Until next time, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!